The courtroom smelled like old wood and broken promises. I sat at the plaintiff's table, my attorney beside me shuffling papers that didn't matter anymore. Across the aisle, my brother Marcus wore his custom Tom Ford suit though, one he debought the week after Mama's funeral. His attorney Gerald Whitmore, from the most expensive firm in the state, leaned back in his chair with the confidence of someone who'd already won. Judge Harold Mitchum presided from the bench, 73 years old with silver hair and the kind of stern face that made lawyers nervous. But not today. Today, he was smiling. At Marcus. Ms. Reeves, Judge Mitchum said, looking down at me over his reading glasses. I've reviewed your claim regarding your mother's estate. You're asserting that the will presented by your brother is fraudulent. Yes, Your Honor. I kept my voice steady. My mother told me about different arrangements. Specific arrangements, Marcus's attorney stood. Your Honor, my client's mother, Patricia Reeves, left a clear and legally executed will dated March 18, 2023. It was witnessed, notarized, and filed appropriately. Ms. Reeves has provided no evidence beyond her own testimony that any other will exists. She told me, hearsay. Whitmore cut me off smoothly. What someone allegedly said before they died is not evidence. It's wishful thinking. Judge Meacham nodded. Mr. Whitmore is correct. Do you have any physical evidence, Ms. Reeves? Any documentation? I felt my attorney's hand on my arm. A gentle warning. We'd been over this. Without the actual will, without proof, I had nothing. Just memories of Mom whispering to me in the hospice room during those final weeks. Your Honor, I know my mother made different arrangements. She told me about what she told you isn't relevant here. Judge Mitchum interrupted. His tone had shifted from neutral to annoyed. This is a court of law, not a therapy session. We deal in evidence, documentation, proof, not feelings. I heard Marcus chuckle. Actually, chuckle. In court. Your Honor, his attorney continued. Ms. Reeves has contested this will for 9 months. She's allayed the estate's settlement, cost her brother significant legal fees, and wasted this court's time. My client asks that you not only dismiss this case, but award him attorney's fees for dealing with this frivolous claim. Frivolous, Primera? Stood up. My attorney tried to pull me back down, but I shook him off. My mother built a $12 million estate through her pharmaceutical consulting business. She worked 70-hour weeks for 30 years. You think she'd leave everything to the son who visited her twice during her final year? Sit down, Miss Reeves, Judge Mitchum said sharply. I visited every day. Every single day for 18 months while she was sick. Where were you, Marcus? Your Honor, Whitmore began. Dubai, I continued, my voice rising. He was in Dubai with his third wife, while Mom couldn't remember her own name half the time, while I held her hand through the pain, through the chemo, through everything. Ms. Reeves, sit down now, or I'll hold you in contempt. I sat. My hands were shaking. Judge Mitchum looked at me with something like pity. I understand you're grieving. Losing a parent is difficult. But grief doesn't change the law. Your brother has presented a valid will. You've presented memories and accusations. That's not how this works. The will is dated March 18th, I said quietly. Mom wasn't even conscious that day. I have the hospice records. She signed it during a period of lucidity, Whitmore said. We have the attending physician's statement, confirming she was of sound mind when she executed the will. Dr. Richard Chun, I asked. The same Dr. Chun who's Marcus's golf partner, the same Dr. Chun who invested in Marcus's tech startup last year. Your Honor, this is pure speculation, Whitmore said. Dr. Chun is a respected physician with 30 years of experience. His medical opinion stands on its own merit. Judge Mitchum removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes. Ms. Reeves, do you have any actual evidence of fraud? Any proof that this will is not legitimate? I have my mother's words, not evidence. His voice was final. I have her promises, not evidence. I have! My voice cracked. I took a breath. Your Honor, my mother told me specific things. Private things. Things only someone with her clearance would know. That got a reaction. Judge Mitchum's eyes narrowed slightly. Marcus shifted in his seat. What kind of clearance? The judge asked. Your Honor, this is irrelevant, Whitmore interjected quickly. Ms. Reeves's mother was a pharmaceutical consultant. Whatever private business matters she discussed with her daughter have no bearing on the validity of the will. But Judge Meacham was looking at me now. Really looking. What specifically did your mother tell you, Ms. Reeves? I opened my mouth. Closed it. I'd been holding this card for 9 months, waiting for the right moment, but my attorney had advised against it. Too risky, he said. Too much unknown. It could backfire spectacularly. Your Honor, I must object to this line of questioning, Whitmore said, standing now. We're here to discuss a will, not engage in conspiracy theories about classified information. I didn't say anything about classified information, I replied. The courtroom went quiet. Judge Meacham leaned forward. Ms. Reeves, did your mother have security clearance? She consulted for pharmaceutical companies, Your Honor. Sometimes those companies had government contracts. I don't know the specifics of her clearance level. That was a lie. I knew exactly what level Ma'am had told me. Along with everything else, this is absurd, Marcus said, speaking for the first time. Our mother sold vitamins to the government. She didn't work for the CIA. I never said CIA, I replied calmly. Marcus's face reddened. Your Honor, my sister is grasping at straws. Our mother was a businesswoman, nothing more. She left her estate to me because I'm the one who helped her build her business. I'm the one who introduced her to the right people, made the right connections. You mean you read the one who took 15% commission on deals you did on work on? I asked. That was a consulting fee. For consulting you didn't do. Your Honor, Whitmore's voice cut through. This is exactly the kind of baseless accusation Ms. Reeves has been making for months. No evidence, just bitterness that her mother chose to leave the estate to her more successful child. More successful. The words hit like a slap. Judge Meacham held up his hand. Enough. Ms. Reeves, I'm going to ask you one final time. Do you have any documentation, any physical evidence whatsoever, that your mother created a different will? The letters, I said quietly. What letters? My mother wrote me letters. During her last 6 months, when she knew she was dying, Whitmore laughed. Actually laughed out loud in court. Letters, Your Honor, letters written by a dying woman on pain medication. That's the evidence we're supposed to consider? They weren't on pain medication days, I said. Mom refused morphine until the very end. Said she needed her mind clear. And she dated every letter. Noted the time. Included details about her medication schedule to prove lucidity. Judge Meacham's expression shifted slightly. Do you have these letters? Yes, Your Honor. Why didn't you present them earlier? My attorney advised against it, said they might not be admissible as evidence without proper authentication, but they contain specific information that I believe will convince you to reconsider this case. Your Honor, this is a delay tactic, Whitmore said. She's had 9 months to present any evidence. Now, at the last minute, she produces mystery letters. I move to exclude them entirely. I'd like to see them, Judge Meacham said. I reached into my bag and pulled out a manila envelope. Inside were 43 letters, handwritten on Mom's personal stationery, each dated and sealed in individual plastic sleeves. I'd kept them in a safe deposit box, taking them out only to read on bad days when I needed to hear her voice. My attorney took them from me and brought them to the bench. Judge Meacham opened the envelope and pulled out the first letter. His eyes scanned the page. Then he pulled out another and another. 3 minutes passed in absolute silence. The only sound was the rustle of paper and the clock ticking on the courtroom wall. Finally, Judge Meacham looked up. His face had gone pale. Ms. Reeves, these letters contain ... specific references. Very specific. Yes, Your Honor. Where did you say your mother worked? Phoenix Biomedical Solutions. She was their senior government contracts consultant for 22 years. Marcus was leaning over, trying to see the letters. His attorney had stood up and was attempting to approach the bench. Your Honor, we have a right to review any evidence presented. Sit down, Mr. Whit. Judge Mitchum's voice had changed. The friendliness was gone. So was the annoyance. He sounded ... careful. Like someone who'd just picked up something that might explode. Your Honor, I must insist. I said sit down. Whitmore sat. Judge Mitchum looked at me. Ms. Reeves, your mother references several projects in these letters. Projects with code names, operation names. Yes, Your Honor. How would she know these names? She consulted on them, provided logistical analysis, supply chain management, distribution protocols for pharmaceutical products, among other things. The judge set the letters down carefully. I need to see both attorneys in my chambers. Now, Your Honor, primera sa, Eve. Before you go, there's something specific my mother wanted me to tell you if we ever ended up in court. She said if I was ever in front of a judge who didn't believe me, I should mention 2 specific words. She said any judge with certain clearances would understand. The courtroom was dead silent. Judge Mitchum stared at me. What 2 words? I met his eyes. Crimson Harbor. The reaction was immediate and unmistakable. Judge Mitchum's hand slipped, and his gavel hit the edge of the bench. The bailiff lunged forward and caught it before it hit the floor. The judge's face had gone from pale to gray. Chambers, he said hoarsely. All attorneys. Now, this proceeding is in recess. He stood up so fast, his chair rolled backward and hit the wall. Marcus was on his feet. What the hell is Crimson Harbor? Your Honor, what is she talking about? But Judge Mitchum was already through the door to his chambers, his robe billowing behind him. Both attorneys scrambled to follow. The bailiff looked at me, Tenant Marcus clearly unsure what to do. I stayed seated, my hands folded in my lap. Come, just like Mom had taught me. Marcus stormed over to my side of the courtroom. What did you just do? What the hell was that? I mentioned something Mom told me to mention. Crimson Harbor. What is that? Some kind of code. I don't know, Marcus. Mom just said to use it if I needed to. You're lying. You know exactly what it is. Think whatever you want. His face was red now, a vein pulsing in his forehead. You can't win this. That will is legitimate. I don't care what cryptic bullshit you pulled out of your bag, Mr. Reeves, the bailiff said firmly. Please return to your side of the courtroom. Marcus ignored him. She was dying. Confused? Whatever she told you, she was never confused, I said quietly. Not once. Even at the very end, when the pain was so bad she couldn't speak, her eyes were clear. She knew exactly what she was doing. This is insane. You're insane. Maybe? But the judge didn't think so. He's probably just being polite, humoring you because you're a grieving daughter acting crazy. The chamber door opened. All 3 lawyers emerged. Whitmore looked like he'd seen a ghost. My attorney looked shocked, and Judge Mitchum looked like a man who'd just had his entire worldview shifted. Mr. Reeves, Ms. Reeves, please approach the bench, the judge said. We both walked forward. Marcus was still fuming beside me. Judge Mitchum didn't sit down. He stood behind the bench, his hands gripping the edge like he needed something to hold on to. Mr. Reeves, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I need you to answer honestly. Did your mother ever discuss her work with you? Sure, sometimes. She consulted for pharmaceutical companies. Did she ever mention any specific projects, any code names or operation titles? No. She kept her work private. Did she ever tell you she had security clearance? Marcus hesitated. She might have mentioned something once. I don't remember. Did she ever give you documents related to her work? Files, records, anything classified? No. Why would she? Judge Mitchum turned to me. Ms. Reeves, same questions. Did your mother discuss her work with you? Yes, Your Honor. Especially toward the end. Did she mention specific projects or operations? Yes. Did she give you documents? She gave me letters, personal letters that referenced her work. Why would she do that? I took a breath. because she knew Marcus would contest any will that didn't favor him. She knew I'd need proof, not just of the will, but of why she made the choices she made. She wanted me to understand what she'd been doing all those years, who she'd been working for, what she'd sacrificed. And Crimson Harbor. She told me it was her final project, the one she'd spent 15 years on. She said if I ever needed someone in authority to take me seriously, to mention that name, she said anyone with proper clearance would know what it meant. Judge Mitchum nodded slowly. Mr. Whitmore, I'm dismissing your motion for attorney's fees. In fact, I'm granting Ms. Reeves's petition for a full investigation into the will dated March 18, 2023. Your Honor, on what grounds? On the grounds that I have serious concerns about the circumstances under which that will was executed. I'm also ordering a forensic examination of Patricia Reeves's estate, her business records, and all communications between Mr. Marcus Reeves and Dr. Richard Chun for the 6 months preceding and following Mrs. Reeves's death. Marcus grabbed the bench. You can't do that. You can't just, I can, and I am. Furthermore, I'm freezing all estate assets pending the outcome of this investigation. This is insane, Marcus shouted. She says to random words, and you completely reverse your decision. Judge Mitchum's voice went cold. Mr. Reeves, your mother had top-secret clearance with the Department of Defense. She worked on projects that most people will never know exist. The information in these letters your sister could only have come from someone with direct knowledge of classified operations, which means your mother was of sound mind enough to document sensitive information in a secure way, which calls into serious question whether she was actually incompetent when she allegedly signed that will. The courtroom spun. I gripped my table for support. Your Honor, Whitmore said desperately, this is highly irregular. You're making decisions based on classified information that hasn't been properly verified. Oh, it will be verified. I'm calling the DoD liaison office this afternoon. They'll send someone to authenticate these letters and determine what clearance level Mrs. Reeves actually held. Until then, this estate remains frozen, and Mr. Reeves ... He looked at Marcus with open disgust. I suggest you get a different attorney, one who specializes in fraud cases. Marcus's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. We're adjourned, Judge Mitchum said. He picked up the letters carefully, like they might detonate. Ms. Reeves, these letters will need to be secured as evidence. A representative from DoD will contact you within 48 hours. Yes, Your Honor. And Ms. Reeves, your mother must have trusted you a great deal. My throat was tight. She did. Don't make her regret it. I won't. The gavel came down. The parking lot outside the courthouse was bright with afternoon sun. I stood by my car, a 10-year-old Honda Civic that needed new tires, and waited for my hands to stop shaking. My attorney found me there, Richard Chun, not the doctor, a different Richard Chun who'd taken my case on a payment plan because I couldn't afford a retainer. That was ... double quotes. He shook his head. I've been practicing law for 18 years. I have never seen anything like that. I tried to tell you Mom had proof. You said she had letters, not classified documentation of covert operations. He ran his hand through his hair. Do you understand what just happened in there? Judge Mitchum took me seriously. Judge Mitchum is former military intelligence. Before he was a judge, he spent 20 years in the JAG Corps handling classified cases. When you said Crimson Harbor, you weren't just name-dropping a project. You were essentially proving your mother had clearance levels most people don't even know exist. I leaned against my car. No? Oh? Did you know who you were dealing with? Did you know Meachum's background? No. Mom just said to use those words if I needed a judge to listen. Your mother was smart. Scary smart. He looked at me. What else did she tell you? Enough. Enough to prove the will is fraudulent. Enough to prove Marcus had her sign it when she was heavily medicated, using Dr. Chun as a witness, even though hospital records will show Mom wasn't conscious that day. Enough to prove Marcus has been embezzling from her company for 7 years. Enough to prove he paid Dr. Chun $50,000 a week after the will was signed. Richard whistled low. You have proof of all that? Mom kept copies of everything. Account numbers, transfer dates, recorded conversations. She knew what Marcus was doing. She just couldn't stop him while she was sick. Why didn't she go to the police? Because she needed him to think he'd won. She needed him to feel safe enough to execute the fraudulent will. She wanted everything documented, everything provable. She turned it into a trap. Your mother was playing a long game. A 15-year game. I looked up at the courthouse. Crimson Harbor was her final project. It took 15 years to complete. She told me it was about patience, documentation, and timing. You build your case, piece by piece, and you don't reveal what you know until the moment they think they've won. She trained you. She prepared me. There's a difference. Richard was quiet for a moment. What happens now? Dot investigates. Judge Meacham orders a forensic audit. Marcus's attorney realizes he's been lied to and withdraws. Marcus either settles or goes to trial for fraud. And if he goes to trial, then I release the rest of the letters, the ones that detail exactly how much he stole, from whom, and when. The ones with Mom's testimony about how he coerced her. The ones where she explains, in her own words, why she's leaving everything to me. How many letters are there? Total. 43. How many did you give the judge? 5. Richard smiled. Your mother taught you well. My phone rang as I was pulling out of the parking lot. Unknown number? Hello? Is this Sophia Reeves? A woman's voice, professional, and clipped. Yes. This is Commander Patricia Valdez from the Department of Defense. I understand you have documents that require authentication. That was fast. Yes, ma'am. I'll be at the courthouse tomorrow morning at 9. Please bring all materials related to your mother's work. All of them. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Reeve, I knew your mother. She was brilliant, and I'm very sorry for your loss. My eyes stung. Thank you. See you tomorrow. The line went dead. I drove to Mom's grave. I had been there since the funeral. Could stand the thought of facing that headstone with Marcus's fake grief still echoing in my ears. But now I could. Now I had something to tell her. The cemetery was quiet. Her plot was in the back section, under a massive oak tree. Patricia Ann Reeves. Loving mother. Dedicated professional. The dates of her life carved in marble. I sat down on the grass beside her. I did it, Mom. I said the words. Just like you told me. My voice cracked. He believed me. The judge believed me. The wind moved through the oak leaves. Marcus's face. You should have seen his face. All that confidence just drained away. Everything he thought he'd won. Everything he thought he'd gotten away with, in 2 words. I pulled out the envelope with the remaining letters. 38 more pieces of evidence. 38 more pieces of Mom's voice. I know you wanted me to wait. You said timing was everything. But I was running out of time, Mom. And money. And hope. I wiped my eyes. But you knew that too, didn't you? You knew exactly how long I could hold out. You timed everything perfectly. A jogger passed by on the path. Headphones in, oblivious. Commander Valdez is coming tomorrow. She said she knew you. Said you were brilliant. I smiled through tears. She didn't have to tell me that. I already knew. I stayed there for an hour, reading through the letters again. Some were practical account numbers, passwords, instructions for accessing files. Some were emotional apologies for the burden she was leaving me. Pride in the woman I'd become, love expressed in Mom's careful, precise handwriting. But one letter was different. The last one she'd written. 3 days before she died. The morphine had started by then, but she'd insisted on a lucid morning. The nurse had helped her sit up, had held the paper steady while Mom wrote, "There ist, Sophia. If you're reading this, then everything has gone according to plan." Marcus took the bait. The fraudulent will was executed, and you've stood in front of a judge with enough clearance to understand what Crimson Harbor means. I'm sorry I had to do this to you. I'm sorry I couldn't just leave you everything simply and cleanly. But Marcus would have contested any legitimate will. He would have dragged you through court for years. This way, you have leverage. You have proof. And you have the truth. Crimson Harbor was my life's work. 15 years of coordinating pharmaceutical logistics for operations that saved thousands of lives. Operations the public will never know about. Operations that required absolute secrecy, absolute precision, and absolute dedication. I gave those operations everything I had, but I should have given more to you. I should have been there for your college graduation instead of flying to Berlin for an emergency consultation. I should have come to your apartment when you got your first job instead of taking a call from DOD. I should have met your boyfriends, attended your events, been a mother instead of just a consultant. But I can give you something now. I can give you justice. And I can give you $12 million that you've earned 1,000 times over by sitting with me, holding my hand, and loving me when I was at my worst. Marcus thinks he's entitled to everything because he made connections, networked, played politics. But he never did the work. He never sacrificed. He took credit for my achievements and resented every dollar he didn't control. Don't let him win. Use everything I've given you, and when it's over, when you have what's rightfully yours, live the life I never could. Travel, love, build something beautiful, and forgive me for making you fight this battle alone. You were always the strong one. All my love. Mom, I folded the letter carefully and put it back in its sleeve. I forgive you, Mom, I whispered, and I'm going to win. Mom. Commander Valdez arrived at exactly 9 a.m. She was 50-something, with steel-gray hair pulled back in a tight bun and eyes that missed nothing. She wore her uniform like armor. Ms. Reeves. She shook my hand with a grip that could crush walnuts. Commander. We sat in a secure conference room at the courthouse. Judge Mitchum was there, along with 2 other people, Valdez introduced as colleagues from DOD. They didn't give their names or titles. I handed over all 43 letters. They read in silence for 90 minutes. Finally, Valdez looked up. These are authentic. Patricia Reeves had TSSCI clearance, with compartmented access to programs, including Crimson Harbor. The information contained in these letters, Maca's classified documentation from operations spanning 2008 to 2023. Judge Mitchum leaned back in his chair. That confirms Mrs. Reeves was of sound mind when she wrote them. More than sound mind, one of the unnamed colleagues said, these letters demonstrate sophisticated understanding of complex operations. The level of detail, the precise terminology of this, isn't someone who's confused or heavily medicated. They're dated. I pointed out. Mom included the time, her medication schedule, and witness signatures from nurses confirming she was lucid. Smart, Valdez said. She knew they'd be challenged. She knew everything would be challenged, I replied. That's why she documented it all. Valdez pulled out 3 specific letters. These contain allegations of embezzlement against Marcus Reeves. Yes, ma'am. Your mother claims he diverted funds from Phoenix Biomedical, falsified consulting fees, and bribed a physician to witness a fraudulent will. That's correct. Do you have additional proof? I pulled out my phone and opened an encrypted file. Mom sent me everything. Bank statements, transfer records, email communications between Marcus and Dr. Chun, recorded phone conversations. She wore a wire during some of their interactions. The room went silent. She wore a wire? Judge Mitchum asked. In the hospital. During her last 3 months, she knew Marcus would visit and try to manipulate her. She recorded everything. That's extraordinary. That's Mom. Valdez smiled slightly. Patricia always was thorough. You knew her well. I was her primary contact at DOD for 12 years. She never missed a deadline, never compromised an operation, and never broke protocol. When she told me she was dying, she said she had one last operation to plan. I didn't understand what she meant until now. My throat was tight again. She planned her own evidence collection. She planned the perfect trap. Valdez looked at the letters. Your brother never stood a chance. The investigation took 6 weeks. During that time, Marcus called me 37 times. I didn't answer. He showed up at my apartment twice. I didn't open the door. Sent emails, texts, even a handwritten letter claiming this was all a misunderstanding. I saved everything. More evidence. The forensic audit confirmed what Mom had documented. Marcus had embezzled $847,000 from Phoenix Biomedical over 7 years. He'd created fake consulting contracts, billing for work he never performed. He'd paid Dr. Chun $50,000 to witness the fraudulent will, and he'd transferred $200,000 from Mom's personal accounts while she was hospitalized. The will, dated March 18, 2023, was declared invalid. Hospital records showed Mom was unconscious that day, heavily sedated after a pain crisis. Dr. Chun's statement claiming she was lucid was proven false. Mom's real will, the one she'd filed with her attorney 3 years earlier, left everything to me. The house, the investments, the business, $12 million. Marcus's attorney withdrew. A criminal attorney took his place. The final hearing was on a Tuesday. Marcus looked 20 years older than he had 6 weeks ago. His expensive suit hung loose on him. His skin had a gray tinge. Judge Mitchum didn't smile this time. Mr. Reeves, you've been charged with embezzlement, fraud, and filing a false instrument. You have also been sued civilly by your sister for the return of all stolen funds, plus damages. How do you plead? Marcus's attorney whispered something to him. Not guilty, Your Honor. Trial is set for October 15th. Bail is set at $500,000. Marcus's face went white. Your Honor, I don't have. Then you'll remain in custody until trial. Bailiff, take him. Wait. Marcus looked at me desperately. Sophia, please. I'm your brother. We can work this out. You can't let them do this. I'm not letting them do anything, I said calmly. You did this to yourself. Mom would want us to stay together. She'd want us to be a family. No, Marcus. She wanted me to have what I earned, what I deserved, and she wanted you to face consequences for what you stole. You vindictive bitch, Mr. Reeves. Judge Mitchum's voice cracked like a whip. Another outburst and I'll add contempt charges. Bailiff, remove him. They led Marcus away in handcuffs. He was still shouting, but the heavy courtroom doors muffled his voice until there was nothing but silence. I stood there, not feeling victorious, not feeling angry, just tired. Judge Mitchum approached me after the courtroom cleared. Ms. Reeves, I owe you an apology. Your Honor, I almost dismissed your case. I almost let your brother walk away with everything. If you hadn't known to say those 2 words, double quotes, Mom knew you'd listen. She researched you, found out about your military background, your clearances. She picked this courthouse specifically because she knew you'd be assigned family law cases. He shook his head in amazement. 15 years she planned this. 15 years, every detail. She must have loved you very much. My eyes burned. She did. I used some of the money to pay off my debts, student loans, credit cards, the medical bills from Mom's final months that insurance hadn't covered. I bought a new car, nothing fancy, just something reliable that wouldn't break down. I donated $500,000 to the hospice center where Mom had spent her final weeks. They named a room after her. I invested the rest conservatively. Mom had been brilliant with money, and her investment portfolio was designed to generate steady income for decades. But the best thing I did was quit my job at the insurance company where I'd been processing claims for 6 years. I'd stayed there because it was stable, safe, predictable. The kind of job that would unfall apart if I needed to take time off for Mom's appointments. Now I could do what I'd always wanted. Go back to school. Get my master's degree in public health. Maybe even my doctorate. Mom had always wanted me to finish my education. I applied to programs across the country. Johns Hopkins, Columbia, University of Washington, Emory. I got into all of them. I chose Johns Hopkins. Mom had mentioned it in one of her letters, said she'd worked with researchers there on a project she couldn't discuss. She'd said the people were brilliant and kind, and that if I ever had the chance, I should study there. So, I did. Marcus went to trial in October. I didn't attend. I sent my attorney with a statement to be read into the record, detailing every payment I'd made to support Mom during her illness, while Marcus had been absent. Every night I'd slept in a hospital chair. Every medical decision I'd made alone. The jury found him guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison and ordered to pay restitution of $1.2 million. Embezzled amount plus damages. He appealed. The appeal was denied. He wrote me a letter from prison. I didn't open it. I put it in a box with all his other attempts at communication. Evidence, if I ever needed it. But I don't think I will. Mom had planned for every contingency. Her evidence was airtight. Her trap was perfect. 2 years later, I was in Baltimore, halfway through my master's program, when I got a call from Commander Valdez. Ms. Reeves, I hope I'm not interrupting. Not at all, Commander. What can I do for you? I'm calling because we're having a ceremony next month. DOD is honoring civilians who contributed to national security operations. Your mother is being recognized posthumously for her work on Crimson Harbor and several other classified projects. My breath caught. She is. We'd like you to be there, to accept the commendation on her behalf. I couldn't speak for a moment. Yes. Yes, of course. Good. I'll send you the details. It's at the Pentagon. Small ceremony, limited attendance due to the classified nature of the work being honored, but the Secretary of Defense will be there. Mom would be proud. She should be. Crimson Harbor saved lives. Sophia. Thousands of them. Your mother coordinated pharmaceutical logistics for covert operations in 7 countries. She kept soldiers alive. She kept missions operational. And she did it all while most people thought she was just selling vitamins. I smiled through tears. She was good at keeping secrets. The best. Valdez paused. She'd be proud of you too. I looked you up. Johns Hopkins. Public health. You're carrying on her work. Trying to. Succeeding. I'll see you next month. The ceremony was small, but powerful. 12 civilians were honored for their contributions to national security. Mom's name was called forth. I walked to the front of the room and accepted the commendation, a framed certificate with the Department of Defense seal and a medal attached. The citation couldn't detail Mom's actual work, but it acknowledged her extraordinary dedication, exceptional judgment, and unwavering commitment to protecting American lives. The audience applauded. I looked out at the room full of military personnel and government officials, all standing for a woman they'd never met, but whose work had saved lives they'd never know about. After the ceremony, a general approached me, 3 stars on his shoulder. Ms. Reeves, I commanded forces in 2 of the operations your mother supported. We called her at 3 a.m. with impossible requests, and she made them happen. Every time? That sounds like Mom. I tried to recruit her into the military. Offered her a direct commission, full benefits, the works. She said no. Why? She said she preferred being a civilian consultant. Said it gave her more freedom to say no if she didn't believe in a mission. He smiled. Never met anyone who turned down a general before. Mom had strong principles. She did, and apparently she passed them to you. He nodded at the commendation in my hands. Congratulations. I flew back to Baltimore with the commendation in my carry-on, wrapped carefully in bubble wrap and tissue paper. It sat on my apartment mantel next to a photo of Mum, not from the hospital, but from 10 years earlier, when she was healthy and strong and smiling at some company event. I looked at the photo and the medal together. You did it, Mom. You saved lives. You built a career. You protected classified operations. And you protected me. I touched the glass on the frame. I'm going to make you proud. 4 years after Mom's death, I graduated with my doctorate in public health. My dissertation focused on pharmaceutical logistics and crisis zones. Basically, I studied everything Mom had done, just in an unclassified context. Johns Hopkins offered me a position as a Primera accepted. I was sitting in my new office, unpacking boxers, when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Dr. Reeves, a man's voice, professional but warm. Yes. This is Dr. James Hartford from Phoenix Biomedical Solutions. I'm the current CEO. I understand your mother, Patricia Rebs, worked with us for many years. My heart rate picked up? Yes, she did. We're expanding our government contracts division. We need someone to lead it, someone with academic credentials, security clearance potential, and understanding of how these operations work. Your name came up. How did you get my name? Commander Valdez recommended you. She said you're Patricia's daughter in every way that matters. I sat down slowly. She said that, Div, the job comes with a significant salary, full benefits, and the opportunity to continue your research while consulting on real-world operations. Interested, I looked around my office. I'd just unpacked. Just started a job I'd worked for years to earn. But Mom had spent 22 years doing this work. She'd saved thousands of lives. And now someone was asking if I wanted to continue what she'd started. Can I think about it? Of course. Take a week. But Dr. Reeves, your mother's work mattered. It still matters. And we need people like her. People like you. I walked through the cemetery that evening. Mom's grave was covered in spring grass now, soft and green under the oak tree. I sat down like I had so many times before. Phoenix Biomedical wants to hire me, Mom. They want me to do what you did, continue your work. The wind moved through the oak leaves, the same sound it always made. I don't know if I'm ready. I just finished my doctorate. I just started at Hopkins. Everything was supposed to be stable now. Safe. I picked at the grass. But then I think about you working at 3 a.m., making impossible things happen, saving lives no one would ever thank you for, and I think maybe safe isn't the point. A cardinal landed on a nearby branch, bright red against the green leaves. You gave me so much, Mom. Justice. Financial security, freedom, the chance to become who I was meant to be. I touched the headstone. Maybe it's time I give back. Continue what you started. Make sure those operations keep running, keep saving lives. The cardinal sang once, 10 flew Hawaii. I stood up, brushing grass off my jeans. I'm going to call them tomorrow. I'm going to say yes. I smiled. And Mom, when I accept that job, when I get my first impossible 3 a.m. phone call, I'm going to make it happen, just like you did. I walked back to my car as the sun set behind the oak tree, casting long shadows across the cemetery. Behind me, carved in marble, Mom's dates marked the years of her life. But they didn't mark the reach of her impact, that extended far beyond the stone, beyond the grave. Beyond anything that could be measured, she'd saved thousands of lives through her work. She'd saved one more by leaving me everything I needed to fight back. And now, I'd save thousands more by continuing what she'd started. That was Mom's real legacy. Not the money, not the medals, not even the justice. It was the work. The mission. The lives saved. And I was ready to carry it forward. 6 weeks later, I walked into Phoenix Biomedical Solutions for my first day. Commander Valdez was waiting in the lobby. "Welcome aboard, Dr. Reeves," she said. "Your mother would be so proud." I smiled. "I hope so. I know so. Now let's get to work. We have operations in 3 countries that need immediate pharmaceutical logistics support." I followed her down the hallway, my security badge clipped to my jacket. The same badge Mom had worn for 22 years. Behind me, framed on the wall, was a photo from the Pentagon Ceremony. Mom's commendation alongside those of other honored civilians. Heir, legacy, and, now, my beginning.